it's Jennifer from Flux. In this video, I'm going to show you how to crochet the First Snow Capelet Cowl. This is a large piece that you can wrap around your body. It is made with some really chunky jumbo yarn. It's like wearing a blanket around you, and it is so nice for the chilly months when you're sitting indoors and you just need something snuggly and you need to be able to also like move around at the same time, maybe if you're walking around the house, or if you need to run out and you just want something really, really warm. This is so lovely. And I've used a sort of lacy granny stitch. It's kind of like a zigzag granny stitch. So it does let some airflow, but it's also very, very warm. So we're going to learn how to make the piece from start to finish. And I chose a nice neutral gray. It looks very wintry to me. This has a nice generous fit. It has a height of, so this is the top where your head will go, and it goes around, wraps around your body to the bottom, but it has a height of about 25 inches and a circumference of about 38 inches. Now you can add more balls of yarn and continue to work more rows to make the circumference a little bit larger if you need to. And if you want a generous fit, that is super easy to accomplish as well. So let's jump right in and get started. For this project, you'll need a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle. Now I would use the largest one that you have because this yarn is very bulky. You're also going to need a 10mm crochet hook. Now I wanted to add as a side note, depending on the manufacturer, the letters may be different, but if you stick with that 10mm crochet hook, you'll be just fine. Now I have a 10mm that is called a P crochet hook, and this one is an N/P, but the 10mm is what we need. You'll also need a ruler or tape measure, and also we're going to be using 6 balls of red heart collage. I have the label here. All the yarn is stitched up at this point, but you'll need 6 balls of this collage to get the dimensions that I talked about earlier. If you want the circumference to be a little bit bigger around, then you can add more balls of the yarn. You just simply work more rows. It's very, very easy to add more rows to this project, but I use 6 balls, and we use the color Rag, R-A-G-G is the name of the color, and each ball of this is 55 yards, 50 meters, 5 ounces, 141 grams. Because it's only 55 yards, because of its size, that's why I use so many balls of this yarn. And it does come in die lots, so if you are buying a bunch of this or have a bunch of this on hand, just make sure the die lots match so that you get some color consistency for your project. And if you need to substitute yarn, just look for a yarn that is a jumbo 7 on the yarn weight scale, and recommends the 10mm hook, and you'll be just fine. This is, as a side note, this is a hand wash cold dry flat item, as a side note. The last thing that you'll need for this project is a button. Now I have this button that I've been saving. It's a really interesting, unique, kind of modern looking button, but you'll just need something really large because we're going to be using the holes of our lace as adjustable buttonholes, so you'll need something really big. Now just to give you an idea, my button that I used is 2 inches wide, so it's pretty wide. But you'll need something, I would say about 1.5 inches or higher would be ideal. And make sure that it has button holes in it so that you will be able to use any tapestry needle to sew it on to your piece with the matching yarn. So you want to make sure those buttonholes are large enough for that. So let's get started. Because we're using a very light yarn on a light background, I went ahead and swapped out for a darker background so you can see what I'm doing. Now these yarns that are very fluffy and have a fluffy ply like this, I like to just put a little knot at the very end just to keep everything together. As you work your project, this end will be kind of floating all around, and you'll want to secure it if you can. So our starting chain, because our capelet has a nice, generous, cozy wrap feeling, so what we're going to do is start off with 38 chains. Now if you want to make a smaller capelet, you can do that, or if you want it to be much larger, you can do that as well. You can just follow a multiple of 4 plus 2. So we're going to do a starting chain of 38, but this is, if you need to change it, do 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 and so forth until your starting chain is as long as you like it to be, and then just add 2 more chains onto that. So that's all that means, 4 plus 2 multiple, in case you're wondering. So let's put a slip knot on our hook to begin. Wrap the yarn around your fingers to make a loop, bring the yarn behind the loop, reach in with your hook, bring up the loop, and tighten. And then, like I mentioned before, we're going to do a starting chain of 38, okay? So to make a chain, wrap yarn around hook and bring it through the loop. That's 1, and I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so you can see better. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, and 38. So here's our starting chain, and I do get this question quite frequently that if your chain is a little bit tight and you're having trouble working into the chain, because we're going to be doing that next, try going up a hook size for your starting chain only, and then you can go back to the 10 millimeter for the rest of your project. That tends to be very helpful in case you need to do that. So for row 1, what we're going to do is work a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. So this loop here does not count. So 1, 2, 3, 4. In this chain here, the 4th chain from the hook, we're going to work a double crochet. To make a double crochet, wrap yarn around hook, insert the hook into that chain, bring up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on the hook. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. Then we're going to work a double crochet into the next chain. Same thing. And then what we're going to do is in the next chain, we're going to work a double crochet, then a chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then a double crochet, all in that same space. Just like that. After that, we're going to skip the next chain, and then in the chain after that, work a double crochet. In the chain after that, work a double crochet. In the chain after that, work a double crochet, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then a double crochet on that same chain. Then we're going to skip a chain, and then we're going to work a double crochet in each of the next 2 chains. So 1 and 2. Then in the next chain, work your double crochet, then chain 3. 1, 2, 3, then work a double crochet all in that same chain, just like that. Then you're going to skip the next chain. If you notice, we're kind of establishing a sequence here. Skip the next chain. In the chain after that, work a double crochet, chain after that, work a double crochet. In the next chain, work your double crochet, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and double crochet on that same chain. Then you're going to skip the next chain and then work a double crochet in each of the next 2 chains. So double crochet in the next chain after that, double crochet in the next chain after that. In the next chain, work double crochet, chain 3, 1, 2, 3. My yarn ball's following me around. Let me do that last chain. There we go. And then work a double crochet in that same chain. Then we're going to skip the next chain, work a double crochet in each of the next 2 chains. 1 and 2. And then in the chain after that, we're going to work our double crochet, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then a double crochet all in that same chain. skip the next chain, work a double crochet in each of the next 2 chains, just like that. And then you're going to have just 1 chain left on your row. See that last chain there? Just work a double crochet in that very last chain. And this tail here, we'll deal with him later, okay? So that is row 1. As you can see, everything is nice and wide, and we've created these little kind of openings here, okay? That's going to be important for our next row. Okay, so for row 2, what we're going to do is chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and turn our work. Then what we're going to do, instead of counting chains, it gets a lot easier. That first row, you do a lot of counting. The second row, you're just going to locate these spaces. Remember those chain 3s that we did? They created a space. So I'm going to refer to that as the chain 3 space. So in that chain 3 space, we're going to work 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, and if you need to push things over a little bit, that's okay. And then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and then 1 more double crochet, all in that chain 3 space. So what we're sort of doing now is creating like a zigzag. Okay, this is a stitch that I love. I have a couple other patterns with this stitch. Hop on over to the next chain 3 space, and we're going to do the same thing. So work 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, then chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 1 more double crochet all in that same space, just like that. Okay, so we have 2 of these kind of zigzag, sort of like a zigzag granny stripe. I think there's another name for it. If you know the other name, I can't remember it right now. Comment below. Next chain 3 space, work 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 1 more double crochet in that space, just like that. Okay, hop over to the next space, work your 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then a double crochet in the same space. Okay, so if you're getting the hang of this right now, you can kind of fast forward if you need to, or kind of skip through, but I'm going to take you down to the end of the row. Next space, 3 double crochet, 1, 2, and 3, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and work a double crochet into that same space. Next space, 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, then chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then a double crochet on that same space. Next space, we're kind of in the home stretch here. We're nearing the end. We're going to do the same thing, 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, then chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then a double crochet into that same space. Next space, same thing, 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then a double crochet into the same space, just like that. Okay, then to finish off the row, we're at the end here. What we're going to do is in the 3rd chain of that turning chain, so locate that. It might be kind of curving around. Find that 3rd chain up of your turning chain, and we're just going to work 3 double crochets into that chain. So 1, 2 and 3, just like that to finish off the row. Okay, so row 2 is complete. Now let's move on to row 3. Row 3 is almost exactly like the row we just did, except the end is a little bit different. Okay, so we're starting to get a little bit of height on our project. This is going to stitch up very, very quickly because of the size of our hook and our yarn. So for row 3, once again, we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and turn our work. Once again, locate that chain 3 space, and we're going to do the same thing we did before. 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and then 1 more double crochet in that space. Okay, so in each of these spaces, because we've kind of already done this before, and the only thing that's different is towards the end. So let's work the same thing. 3 double crochet, chain 3, 1 double crochet in each one of these spaces. We'll do the next one together. So each one of these chain 3 spaces all the way across. Once again, we're going to do 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then double crochet in the same space. Do those in each of those chain 3 spaces all the way across, and then once we get to the end of this row, I'm going to show you how to just finish off the row, because see how it looks a little bit different than the row before it. Okay, so continue across and we'll rejoin towards the end of this row. Okay, I've worked all my stitches all the way across, and now we're ready to finish off the row. So this is a little bit different just because the turning chain is a little bit bigger. So we're going to count 5 chains up instead of 3. Remember last time we did 3 chains up. This is 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And what we're going to do is work 3 double crochets into that 5th chain up. Okay, so 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, and 3 double crochet. Just like that. All right, so row 3 is complete. Now let me just get everything out of the way so you can see. We are getting some nice height already in just 3 rows with our project. Let me just straighten everything out for you. So what you're going to do to complete your piece before we start kind of doing some finish work on it is you're going to be repeating row 3 over and over and over again until it's large enough to wrap around you comfortably with some extra, or until you run out of the 5 balls of yarn, whatever comes first. And then when we come back, we're going to learn how to deal with these ends. We're going to do the button part, and I'm going to show you where to place the button, how to close the button, how to use these decorative lacy holes as your adjustable buttonholes, so you can really wear it a bunch of different ways. So keep repeating row 3, and if you need to see it again, you can back up the video as many times as you like. There's also a slow motion feature on YouTube. You can use that as well. So repeat row 3 over and over again, and we will rejoin in just a moment. Just working that very last stitch of the row, and I don't have quite enough yarn to start a new row. I have enough if I wanted to sew a button on or something like that, but I've used up pretty much all the yarn for this. So then what we can do to finish is to grab your scissors and just cut the yarn, and we're going to fasten off. So wrap the yarn around the hook and bring it through that loop. And then you'll want to grab your largest tapestry needle that you have on hand. And what we're going to do is we're going to weave in some of these ends. So you'll have the end where you started and where you left off, and anywhere you joined the new ball of yarn. So just go ahead and weave that in. Now this yarn is very plushy, so you want to just go through those plies of yarn, just right through the middle of everything. You're going to go in one direction, and then you're going to come back in the other direction. And I like to go through the middle of the plies. It kind of holds it in a little bit nicer. Kind of grips it and grabs it. We're just going both directions here, and then you can give your yarn a little snip. And then just go through your project and look for any other ends that you may have. I have some all over the place here because of all the balls of yarn that we used. So go through, weave in the rest of your ends, and then we're going to kind of put things together and talk about button placement next. our ends are all woven in, and I just want to show you how pretty this is. This is so squishy and warm and cozy. So when you're ready to do your button placement, lay your piece out so that the way I have done it is you'll be able to tell a distinct starting edge. It'll look like a chain along the edges of your work, and you can fold it inward, and you'll see the edge where you ended because it'll look like a scallop. This scallop edge is the edge that you'll want to fold over top. It almost looks like you put a border on it, really, a really nice little scallop border, but it's how the stitch naturally falls. So at the top of that, when you fold your piece over, starting edge inward, ending edge, I guess you could call it, on the outside part, go up to the very top. I'm going to sort of roll this up so you can see it. But go up to the very top, and you're going to grab your button. Now, I am going to use this pedestal button. This is a screw-in button. I talked a little bit about it earlier in the video, but mine just screws right on. But you'll want to save a little bit of matching yarn. We had a little bit left because you'll want to use it if you're sewing on your buttons. So you just use a tapestry needle and a matching piece of yarn and sew it right on. But we're going to do our pedestal button on the edge so we can kind of wrap it around our body and tack it down. So mine just has this thing on the back and a little piece here to sort of hold it in place, and we're going to just put it in any of the holes. Now if you're sewing your button on, you'll want to go into the yarn, obviously, but you could go, the hole might be a little bit big. You might want to go in between some of these double crochets and then just attach your button that way. And mine has this little piece here, and it's just barely the right thickness for this button. I think any thicker and it wouldn't work right. But mine is just, I'm just going to screw mine on. Just screws right on. It's kind of neat, and if you want to change buttons later, you can just take it right off, okay? And then when you're done, you just use any of these decorative holes from your lace work, your chunky lace work, as a buttonhole. So I encourage you to hop on over to the Flux blog because I have a couple of different ways that I've styled this. You can wear it, wrap it around your shoulders like this, and it becomes a capelet just wrapped around like that, or you can wear it asymmetrically. So hop on over, the link is at the top, and you can just see all the different ways to wear. But it is cozy. It's like wearing a blanket around your shoulders, and you can wear it around. I don't know if grabbing a blanket off the couch and wrapping it around yourself would look so great at the when you're running errands or something like that, but definitely this would be super cute and feel just like a blanket. So that is how you crochet the First Snow Capelet Cowl. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Flux video updates. Thanks again.